If you're an aspiring writer, I am sure that at some point you have thought about what it takes to be a good writer. Well, today I have that answer for you. Here's the thing, when you decide you want to be a writer, you usually start looking around for advice on how to be a good one. And as you look at that advice, you start to realize that there are a lot of rules out there and a lot of advice, and some of it is conflicting and some of it doesn't maybe make sense to you. Because guess what? There is no official, real rule book for being a writer and what you have to do to write a book. All that advice, all those rules you've read, those are opinion. But there are 3 rules about being a writer that I think any good writer would agree with. I think they're some of the only non-negotiable hard and fast rules out there. The first is, if you want to be a writer, you have to write consistently. I remember when I was younger and I decided I wanted to write, I would go through phases. I would go through a phase where I would write all the time, all day, every day, and then I would go months without picking up a pen and paper. I've also known people who don't write other than maybe essays for schools, but they want to be a writer one day. One day they'll have a good idea and they'll write a book. Here's the thing, neither of those strategies work. If you want to be a good writer, you have to write. It's just like any other skill or any other subject that you study, you have to practice it over and over again. Just like playing a musical instrument, it's not something you can just do once and be done with. Number 2, it's essential that you read a lot, particularly in the genres and age groups that you want to write in. To go back to the analogy of playing a musical instrument, I play the flute. And when I was in high school and taking private lessons, my teacher would make me listen to recordings of famous flutists. Just like I needed to be exposed to good playing of the flute, we need to be exposed to good writing. And thirdly and finally, no one's first draft is perfect. You are going to have to edit every single manuscript you write. Editing isn't just something that rookie new writers have to do. Even experienced writers have to edit everything. You never get to the point where you're such a good writer that your first draft is perfect. Once again, it's just like playing a musical instrument. Even once I learned all the basics of playing the flute and I was pretty good at it, I still couldn't sit down and play a piece I'd never seen before perfectly. It always took weeks and months for me to learn a piece well enough to perform it. And in the same way, it takes months of revision, sometimes years, until a book is ready for publication. And that's it. That's the only non-negotiable rules of being a writer that I can think of. Writing advice is great, of course. I love reading it. I love watching YouTube videos about it. But remember that every single piece of advice you read doesn't have to apply to you. Find the advice that works for you and go out and write.